It is 3:05 on the east coast of North America, and that means it is time for Shakespeare's Coffee Break. And today's show is brought to you by some wonderful advertisers. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, no job too large or too small. Check them out at hillrigging.com. Renfest.org, your online directory for Renaissance entertainers, vendors, and festivals. Go find them online, it's in the name, renfest.org. Ren Pops, build your own digital, silly Funko Pop style friends of your favorite Renaissance performers. Renpops.com, get your own Ren Pop Shakespeare. Henderson's Hearth, Celtic classic foods for today's world. And Dandy Folk, bits and bubbles for the sharp and snazzy. Find them online at etsy.com/shop/dandyfolk. And welcome, dear friends. Welcome to... Whoa, I went into a two-shot. Wasn't meaning to do that yet. Welcome to Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and this is my coffee break. Let's start things off with a nice, noisy slurp. Today, as the title card of the show show you, it is Shakespeare's spooky coffee break, which means we're going to have some spooky ghost stories and poems by the inimitable, the amazing Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live. He did Muppet Arms. He knows the drill on this show. It's amazing. You may have seen him last night as Titus Andronicus, the titular character in Titus Andronicus, you know, for kids. Before we get into him, though, just great thanks to the Jackdaws, who you're listening to right now, for our theme music. Shakespeare approves of this theme song. You can go check them online at facebook.com/thejackdaws. Claire Bohannock, friend of the show, is watching, and she says, woohoo! Speaking of Claire Bohannock, great thanks go out to the Zenith Players. We share a lot of resources. Today's show is not actually on Zenith Players' Facebook page. Most of the shows lately are not, but please go follow the Zenith Players on Facebook, facebook.com/Zenith Players, and zenithplayers.com. Click on the lovely and attractive donation button. But friends, before I bring in my guest for today, I just want to say thank you to all of you who've been sending in interest for tomorrow's Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Halloween Party. It is going to be genuinely ridiculous and amazing. We have special guests. We're going to have music. We're going to have a costume contest with prizes. Yes, you will be able to go home. And by go home, I mean I will send it to you. Go home with an out-damp spot remover or a fluffy kitten love grenade or random other things. An edition of Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins for your Kindle. And also probably like a gift card to like McDonald's or something. I don't know what kids like. McDonald's? Kids probably like McDonald's. My almost 4-year-old niece was screaming on the phone the other day, I want McDonald's! And she looked like a Muppet. And that made me happy. But... so today, in honor of the season, I decided to go as Total Space Wizard. Friend of the show, fan of the show, and also just a friend of mine in general, sent me this wonderful Jedi tunic. I'm going to show you real quick. Don't I look snazzy? And I decided to make it complete and total Space Wizard by putting on a Quidditch robe turned inside out so you don't see any insignia of who it may or may not represent, but also add in a comm badge from people who are not space wizards, but scientists. And then also someone who very much is a space wizard. I mean, it's a space wand. I mean, look at this. Expelliarmus, or whatever. So it's amazing. I am space bedecked, because Shakespeare loves space. It's the final frontier. But friends, now, without further ado or a don't, please welcome the amazing, the great Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live.
It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, who you may know by the name Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. Now I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved, with a love that was more than love, I, my Annabel Lee, the love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in that kingdom by the sea, a wind came out of a cloud by night, chilling the beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me. to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that a wind came out of a cloud by night, chillin' and killin' my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. Neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. The moon never gleams without bringing me dreams of my beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of my beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in the tomb by the sounding sea.
That was brilliant, Steve. Brilliant. Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live. You can book a show with him at greattaleslive.com. But also, please go follow him on Facebook. He just started a Facebook page like last week, I think it was, maybe. And follow them. Follow him. Great Tales Live on Facebook. So facebook.com/Great Tales Live. I want to get him up to 100 by the end of the show, hopefully. I mean, or, you know, by the end of the weekend. Yay! Yay! So go give him a like. Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live. Now, Steve, I have to ask you a question. What got you? And that was a brilliant rendition of Annabel Lee, by the way. It's one of my absolute favorite poems.
I like to tell people, you know, people associate Poe with, you know, dark, grisly, disquieting tales, but he writes all kinds of things, even love poems.
Yeah, I mean, creepy love poem.
A little bit dark, but still.
I mean, it's like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to move into a tomb to be with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's just like, is he planning on eating in there? Or is he just going to go lay down and basically pull a Romeo and Juliet? I'm just going to let myself waste away.
Just snuggling.
Snuggling. So you're saying he cracked open the sepulchre?
Mm-hmm.
And he crawled into her tomb, where she may or may not have been embalmed.
Yeah, well, you know. Like I say, it's a love poem, but it's dark, you know.
Oh, man. Did you say it's dark or it's stark?
Either. From the look in your eyes, I'm going to say I said it was stark.
Yeah, because from what I know of Game of Thrones, that just takes us to a whole nother level, and that makes a lot more sense then.
I don't know an Iron Man joke, but that works too.
No. Whatever. Tony Stark, he's a joke. I am wearing the same colors as he does, though, so it's kind of fantastic.
There you go.
Or a Tibetan monk.
Why not both?
Yeah, why not? Why not both? But people are absolutely loving you. Dan Wenzel, friend of the show, applauding. Susan Hill, friend of the show, applauding. Claire Bohannick, just loving everything that you just did. Now, how did you get into being a professional Twainian storyteller? Because I feel like you are rather, although using material that you have not necessarily written yourself, much like myself, you very much fall into that Mark Twain aspect of, I'm going to sit down and spin you a yarn.
Oh, yeah. And some of what I do is original, but yeah, Poe obviously wrote Poe. So how did I get into it?
Wait, you're saying it wasn't Christopher Marlowe who wrote the works of Edgar Allan Poe?
Possibly the 19th century Earl of Oxford, but I don't think so.
All right. So it was Twain before he was Twain. All right. You know what? Suck it, Derek Jacobi. There we go. That's what I was leading up to. Suck it, Derek Jacobi. I have to say it at least once a show for some reason or other. So thank you for giving me just the littlest bit of intro right there. I appreciate it. But let's talk about how you got into this. Why?
I became an actor because I desperately did not want to be on stage.
So you did it to face your fears?
No. I was in the school choir when I was a kid. Got to, I guess it would have been 6th grade. And the choir was doing a spring musical, and we were told that, if you aren't cast in one of the major roles, you'll be on stage and you'll be singing, you'll be dancing. I said, no. And rather than, let me just quit the choir and walk away, they said, we need some help backstage. And so I ended up doing lights and kept doing tech for, junior high school. And that got me into the auditorium, into the theater, where I decided I liked what was going on stage enough to actually give it a shot. But I would not have been in that situation if I hadn't run screaming from the idea of being on stage. So.
That is fantastic. Well, I'm very glad that you did learn some technical skills. Not because I've actually experienced all technical skills. I have not. I kind of wish I do now.
They are very, very out of date.
But you have them, and that means those muscles can be exercised at need. And we just go with me on it. But no, it's wonderful because it teaches people on the technical side more appreciation for the art of theater, because everybody thinks that they can just not everybody, most people think they can just get up on stage and do this, that this is easy. And let me tell you, you're right. This requires no skill. But in all truth, everybody thinks that is an easy job, that it's just a hobby, a sideline, a side gig. But when you're learning the technical side of it, you are genuinely gaining an appreciation for all of the extra work that goes into making this stuff happen. Yeah. And so I'm very glad that you did. It shows the hard work you were willing to employ, even though it was a way to get out of being on stage.
Yeah. I figure, if all the world's a stage, then the stage crews are, rule the world. But.
You know what? I like it. And as an erstwhile stage manager myself, thank you. So how did you move from that, though, into being a storyteller in your own right?
Well, I was teaching by day. I was doing community theater by night.
What were you teaching? Where were you teaching? Who were you teaching? Why were you teaching?
Where I was teaching and who I was teaching, I was an adjunct English professor for a couple years. Why I was teaching is still an open question. I know why I teach now out of the classroom, but at the time it was just kind of what was supposed to be next, and it wasn't the right fit. But at any rate, teaching by day, doing community theater by night. And I'm chatting with a castmate one night, and she mentioned some of the work that she was doing in Gettysburg, doing ghost stories, doing history stories. And I said, so you mean you get to teach? You get to teach people who choose to be there. That's critical. And you get to perform. And that got me into giving tours, and that got me into storytelling. And so as of the end of last year, I had given roughly 1,500 walking tours in Gettysburg.
Goodness gracious.
Over the years, I started doing Poe, started doing Dickens, started doing Civil War stories spanning out across Pennsylvania. So
that is wonderful. And how long were you a tour guide in Gettysburg? I want to say you started around 2002, 2003, if I remember correctly.
Last year was my 19th year. This would have been my 20th, but family stuff happened and we moved out of the area. But
all right, so a little bit before than I knew you, because I feel like, because my memory was that when I met you in 2001 or 2002, that I was attending one of your first tours, but obviously that was not the case.
Well, I mean, not as far off, I'm in 2020, and I had 1 year off. So yeah, I started about 2000.
All right, yeah. So wonderful.
So relatively speaking, yeah.
Yes.
Early on.
And as someone who has taken several Gettysburg ghost tours, yours, because I took yours a few times over different spans of the years, relatively early on in your ghost touring career and later as well. You, as a performer, developed so much because early on, in hearkening to your other career as a teacher, as a professor, I felt like, oh, he's a good teacher doing this. So if like, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to make it interesting. But it was very, I'm going to tell you a story, and if you have any questions, let's talk. Whereas later, there was so much more performative aspect, but it wasn't like, I am doing a play. It was very, I'm going to tell you a story, and it's going to freak you out. And you're like, yes, yeah, let's do that. It was brilliant and wonderful. And I'm so very sorry that you moved out of the area to make it nigh impossible to be able to do it easily. But
well, not that I would be terribly comfortable doing it right now in the middle of a pandemic, you know.
No. Yeah, pandemic changes the rules. It's like, you know what? Little bit, but maybe what we could do is just film you and give you and then make it like an AR, like augmented reality type thing that we could put you into someone's goggles or glasses so they can walk around, and then you are there not just narrating it for them, but just walking with them, hey. But we just put you on a treadmill, or you just stop doing steps like this, hey, yeah, over here you're gonna find this thing, and you have it timed out so that you know exactly where things are. Or maybe there's even someone saying, okay, Steve, turn right. Over here's the Farnsworth house. All right, cool, Farnsworth house. Yep, let's talk about that. Over here, there's a grave. There's some bullet hills. Maybe we could do that, and it would be a ghostly Steve guiding a ghost tour. Listen, I feel this will work.
Not something I've considered, but
I feel this will work. All we need is several $1 million of investment.
Just a little hurdle,
Yeah, and TJ, friend of the show, we can get him on the technical side of it. I mean, obviously, he teaches people Skype and Zoom all the time, and obviously he can whip this up. Claire, get on that. Claire, I know you're watching right now because you've commented. Claire, get TJ to make an augmented reality Steve. All right, there we go. See, done. Producers, this is what we do. This is weird. This is a weird show. Steve is uncomfortable.
No, not uncomfortable. Just watching you, dig down into the rabbit hole.
So Susan says she went to Gettysburg a few years ago, down from Canada. She didn't take a guided tour. She wished now she had. Do you want to go back, Susan? Wait until 2022.
Probably a little bit safer once.
Yeah. Once we're away from pandemics and elections and all that. So wait till 22. And then David O. Newton says he went on Steve's ghost tour in 2002. Well cool. Done. Yes. I feel like my first one with you was 2002 because I went with the Blackfriars. Blackfriars, for anybody watching, was the volunteer cast at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair back in the day. And oh my God, we were mighty. It was amazing and brilliant. And very tight-knit people. And Steve was quasi-cast, most of the time pickle vendor, but brilliant interaction and lotsy that he was doing on the streets. And just one of my favorite fixtures that was there for years and years. And so,
pickles on a stick, stab the one you love.
There you go. My favorite one was buy a stick, get a free pickle. That one, it made me giggle for just I'm walking down the street, buy a stick, get a free pickle. And I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah, I still remember a kid one day who was up in arms because you're trying to trick me. I suppose there's a fine line between
marketing and tricking. Yeah.
Marketing and fraud. I don't know, but free pickle when you buy a stick seems simple enough to me.
Yeah, it's like stab it. Go ahead. Let's do this. Oh my gosh. But you were brilliant at it, and it is their loss that you're not there. Very much. But we're gonna blow you up some more. everybody, in the meantime, while we're paying some bills, I want you please to go and follow Great Tales Live on Facebook. Go do it right now. Right now, we can get at least 10 of you to go in and like Facebook.com/Great Tales Live. Also check out greattaleslive.com in order to book Steve virtually for a talk. And we're going to talk a few more things, and then Steve is going to give us some amazing stories and more poetry. So we're here with the great and wonderful Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live. Steve obviously is good at what I do. I don't know. Steve, I'm just hitting buttons. Steve, stick around as we go into the next bit here. So Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live, and thank you very much. Now, there we go. Hit that button, and also click that button. And then I'm going to click this button right here. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a professional, honestly. Yes, I just need a tech to do this for me. So, there we go. Hooray, huzzah. Now, today's show is brought to you by the good people at Hill Storage and Rigging Company. As Susan Hills says in the comments, no relation. She's going to get there in a second. But Hill Storage and Rigging Company. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing your equipment is in skilled and experienced hands with services from their machine movers and erectors in Middletown, Pennsylvania. Established in 1967, Hill Storage and Rigging Company is a family-owned and operated full-service millwright serving industries in the Mid-Atlantic states and beyond. They are a women-owned small business with hours of operation Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, weekends by appointment only. Call them at 717-944-7676 and visit them online at hillrigging.com. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, no job too large or too small. Today's show is also brought to you by the good people at renfest.org. Renfest.org, you want to find them? It's in the name. You can also find them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But the mission of renfest.org is to drive more traffic to the sites, online stores, and social media of Renaissance festivals, artisans, and entertainers, and promoting the idea during this COVID time of a hashtag Renfest at home to encourage patronage with fairs while they are closed. So they are your online directory, your source to find your favorite Renaissance performers, vendors, and festivals. To support such initiatives also as digital Renfests and the Rescue Foundation that benefit this community. To learn more, go to renfest.org. And today's show is brought to you by the good people at Henderson's Hearth. Henderson's Hearth! Oh my God, they are our newest sponsor. They are amazing and wonderful. It all began in 2012 when Amy came up with the idea to bring back traditional Celtic recipes that have been starting to be lost in today's quick meal culture, inspired by Celtic heritage, but made for your busy family to bring a little old-fashioned comfort food back into our lives. Now, she opened her first shop at the Louisiana. That's a word. I'm a professional. I speak and read words for a living. She opened her first shop at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival the following year in 2013, and the business was born. Since then, she has traveled the region, sharing her passion for these recipes with others that embrace their heritage or want to recapture an experience on a vacation. She strives to provide healthy and delicious products steeped in Scottish heritage. Her ingredients are either grown locally or acquired locally to ensure quality. Each product is made in small batches so they can ensure that your mix will exceed your expectations. Shop at hendersonshearth.com and follow them on Instagram at Henderson's Hearth and visit them at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival weekend starting next weekend, November 7th and 8th, and tell them Shakespeare sent you. But also, I have a few other products here. So for instance, here is the basic Henderson Soup mix. This is vegan. All of the soup mixes are vegan and vegetarian as a good base, and you can make it not vegan if you want. But we have mixes. They come in these adorable little burlap sacks. So we have the Henderson Soup mix. We have the Irish brown bread mix. And as we are getting in closer to the holiday season, mulled spice cider. Oh, yes. And we're going to be making up some of these for future so you can actually see all of it in action. And somewhere around it. Oh, yep, here we go. Also have a bag of the nuts, the glazed nuts. These are just amazing, and when you smell them fresh, holy smoke, are they amazing. So Henderson's Hearth, go check them out. hendersonshearth.com. Find them on Facebook and Instagram. Goodness gracious, we have so many ads to get through here today. This is amazing and wonderful. By the way, if you want to become a sponsor, while I'm grabbing the next thing, of Shakespeare's coffee break, drop me an email, shakespeare@shakespeareapproves.com, or drop me a message on Instagram. On Instagram, I am at shakespeare.approves. You can send a message to the show itself on Facebook, Shakespeare's Coffee Break, or just to my main page, facebook.com/shakespeareapproves. We will talk ads, and it will be great and glorious. 2 more ads to go, and then we'll bring back Steve Anderson. So the next one is Dandyfolk, dandyfolk.com. I'm sorry, Dandyfolk at etsy.com/shop/Dandyfolk. Bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. Come peruse their ever-expanding collection of accessories. Reversible venture hoods. I wish I had one here to show you. One is coming, I've been assured. Reversible venture hoods, scarves, masks, and more to get you through the seasons in style. Spooky Halloween and fall collections and fandom collections. I'm about to show you some really cool stuff. Fandom collections. Are you into the Doctor or Hobbits or Wizards or the Force or the Federation? I'm obviously into all of this. I just need to point that out. Wingardium Leviosa. Did that make sense? No, but in your heart, it totally did. Now, are you into the Doctor, Hobbits, Wizards, the Force, or the Federation? They've got you covered. See what they did there? Because it's masks and scarves. The cart masks are hand and machine washable, with sewn-in polypropylene filters, built-in stainless steel nose bridges, comfortable woven elastic, and the 3D shape of the new mask patterns provides more breathing space between your mouth and nose and the fabric, while offering a good seal across the nose and under the chin. Shop now at etsy.com/shop/Dandyfolk and follow them on Instagram at Dandyfolk. And here's what I'm excited to show you about here. So check out this pattern right here. This is amazing. Look at that. It's Doctor Who. All right. It's Time Lordy, but it looks all classic, like classic pattern that you would find on some good china. So I'm going to take out my earpiece real quick so I can do this. But this is the new 3D pattern. All right. So put it on your head. Tie it in. Oh, real quick before we do that, you can pull the string out completely so that the loop can either go on first and then tie it behind your neck, or vice versa. But we're gonna put this on. So this part tucks under your chin. This part goes over your nose. There we go. And gives you a lot of breathing space. This is really comfortable. I like this a lot. Now, as an added bonus, what you can get is a silicone mask. A silicone mask here. If you wear lipstick or lip gloss, help protect it and keep it away from the fabric. But also, if you talk for a living and sometimes with a microphone on, it helps you sound less muffled. And also, if you're running in these, which I often do, helps keep the fabric away from your face so that you can breathe a little easier. So we're going to do this again. Put that in there. Pull this on. And so you can actually hear me a little more clearly than you did just a moment ago. So these are amazing. Look at this pattern right here. Isn't this gorgeous? Oh my God. This is great. So Dandyfolk, bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. Thank you so much for being a sponsor here on Shakespeare's Coffee Break and for sending me stuff to demonstrate. I love it. And then finally, last one we're going to talk about, and this is a gratis one. So if you have an organization that you need to promote, let me know, and we'll work something out for you. But this is brought to you by, here we go, The Daily Brew. The Daily Brew. Have you ever tried starting a personal journal? Only to give up because you didn't know what to write about? I have all the time. Have you ever wanted to keep a journal but didn't know how to start? Well, the Daily Brew Journal might be just the thing for you. The authors have painstakingly created a 365-day template for writing about your thoughts and feelings, as well as a nice mix of active hands-on exercises to keep it interesting and to help you avoid journal fatigue. So find a comfy chair, grab your favorite hot beverage, like coffee at Shakespeare's Coffee Break, hello, and start journaling. Now, here's some great stuff about it as well. Studies have found that regular journaling leads to increased emotional intelligence. creativity, and confidence. Gains in both short and long-term memory. So writing things down really, really helps you. As Dr. Henry Jones Sr. says, he wrote it down so he wouldn't have to remember. And then help with impulse control and problem solving, and so many other benefits to that. You can purchase them online at Barnes & Noble, Target, but also Amazon. Amazon.com. Get it right away. And then every purchase supports college students. So every purchase of a Daily Brew journal allows the authors to give away more copies of the journal to students in need. And you can also follow them on social media. Share your thoughts with them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. They love to hear about how your journaling journey is going. So check out the Daily Brew. Specifically, my wife, our off-screen wife, she works with one of the authors, she works with Gary Robinson, who is, I said doctor, but he's not. He is a licensed medical health counselor and the director of counseling services at Hartwick College in Oneonta. So full disclosure, my wife works with them. But this is a wonderful thing to do. This can really help college students and also you. So check it out. And now, since we have paid all of the ads, let us go back into a wonderful conversation with the amazing and talented Steve Anderson, who has a fluffy kitten. Oh my God.
Well, it is Halloween, and nothing is as scary to fans of Shakespeare approved than a fluffy kitten.
Oh my gosh.
And if you didn't get that joke, you need to watch his shows.
I heart you so much, Steve. I heart you so very much right now. You were not in my Macbeth Death by Fluffy Kittens when we did it a few months ago. I've
been in several. I'm blanking
you
on whether I was in that one.
Yeah, you would know because I would have killed you with a cat. Oh, speaking of cats, it looks like you have a black cat in honor of Halloween. Is this the amazing Mandy?
This is the amazing Mandy, who apparently is not going to be on the stream today.
Her tail was.
Wanted to be present, and now she's hiding behind the monitor. So.
Oh, very good. Now, Steve Anderson. And remember, everyone, go follow Steve. Go follow his wonderful show, Great Tales Live, on Facebook. And real quick, when you do a show for people, what do you often do?
Well, in part it depends on which show. Some things are scripted, like Poe. Okay. Yes, this is
hooray!
Very,
we have a black cat
wiggly today. But it seems appropriate for Poe to have a black cat.
Oh yeah, totally.
But yes.
Although his
so one
wife,
of the things I like
although
to do,
although his wife Virginia, she had an enormous white fluffy Persian. Don't ask me how I know that. It's just a weird thing it's just a weird thing I know. So
that's probably the most normal thing about that couple, but that's okay.
Oh, so much wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, one of the things I like to do when I'm giving a tour, when I'm doing a talk someplace, if I'm visiting a community, I dig into their local history and see where that connects with some of the bigger narratives. If I'm giving a talk to people from a company, a group, people who are at a convention, people who have some kind of an interest in common, I try and think about how can I weave that into history, weave that into some of my stories. So when we talked about me coming on your show, I was thinking about telling you a story about a guy from New York who was very, very fond of his sword, which is kind of Ren and Fair-ish, sort of.
Yeah.
But it occurred to me afterwards, there is a much, much, much better fit. And it's a story I rarely get a chance to tell.
Oh, well, then do it.
So you're an actor, director, and a playwright, obviously, and a teacher.
I would argue teacher, but yeah, thanks.
Well, I mean, you do programs for schools, so
yes,
there's educational value. So today, if you want to be an artist, you want to be an actor, you want to be a musician, the place to go, you go to Juilliard. Back in the 1850s, if you wanted to be an artist, and especially if you wanted to be an actor, you'd go to Cleveland. you go to the Cleveland Academy of Music. And if you wanted to be an actor, you wanted, more than anything else, you wanted to study with a guy named John Elsler. The best actor, director, theater manager, acting teacher. If you've ever watched Inside the Actor's Studio, think James Lipton in the 19th century. So late 1863, he bands together with some people he's worked with in the theater before. And they come across the state line into western Pennsylvania to Venango County, where they're going to dig themselves an oil well. That's what you did back then if you wanted to get rich overnight. Still kind of is. And specifically, they had a forward-thinking idea. They weren't just going to dig themselves a well. They were going to dig the well and then take a stick of dynamite and light the fuse and drop it in the hole with the thought that if you break up the shale, you can release more of the gas. 19th century fracking, basically. Now, being theater people, they named their operation the Dramatic Oil Company, which, if you're dropping a stick of dynamite into an oil well, calling it dramatic is asking for trouble. The well blew up. Of course, the well blew up. And so Mr. Elsler went back to what he'd been doing, teaching in Cleveland, and his partners went back to what they had been doing. And his most famous business partner, a successful young actor named John Wilkes Booth, went back to performing on stage, which is how he ends up at Ford's Theater in 1865, and how he ends up being able to get in backstage and make his way up to the VIP box while Lincoln is watching the show.
Is there more?
Well, okay, Mandy has returned, but it still refuses to be on the show. That's okay. It's kind of a self-contained little story. Most of my history stories are a bit more expansive, but it seemed relevant. It seemed appropriate, and I love just the visual image of James Lipton digging an oil well. I'm sure he would put his heart and soul into it, but he'd still look kind of ridiculous. But since we're talking theater, since we're talking about theater, I know I don't have to tell you that anytime you go to an old theater, any old theater, there are going to be some odd stories, noises backstage, a light that stays on when you've turned out the power. Weird things happen in old theaters. Pretty much any old theater is going to have some ghost stories. Pretty much any old building in Gettysburg is going to have some ghost stories. So this here behind me, this is Brewer Hall at Gettysburg College. It's the theater department. Now, if you're thinking with that big tower, it kind of looks more like a church. Well, it was originally designed to be Brewer Chapel and then converted later on. And I know, when I start talking about ghosts, people kind of roll their eyes sometimes. I'm sure some of your viewers certainly are, even though it's Halloween. Well, Halloween week. If I tell you, for instance, that every now and then there are reports from students working inside of footsteps on the creaky old stairs up into the tower, that's not going to surprise you. I mean, it's an old building. It's going to have creaky stairs. There's nothing weird about that. And you'd be right. There's nothing weird about that. Except that when they converted the chapel into the theater, they sealed off that tower. The creaky old stairs weren't safe anymore. So you couldn't go up and down those stairs today if you wanted to. And still, people hear footsteps going up and down. Directly behind me, those 6 windows, people going by routinely will catch a glimpse of a face looking out. Sometimes get a picture of a face looking out, which again, people look out of windows all the time. That's not surprising. And you'd be right, it wouldn't be surprising, except that when they converted the chapel into the theater, they sealed off those windows as well. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. If you have a 19th century chapel, you want big windows, you want a big shaft of sunlight on your stage, on your altar. The last thing you want today is a big shaft of sunlight on your stage. You'll want to be able to have a blackout, get your actors off stage. And so they sealed off those windows. And still, people see faces. Now, I mentioned wanting to have a blackout. It reminds me of a student a few years back. She was on the lighting crew doing stage lighting for one of the student plays. And she's working late into the evening. One by one, everybody else has gone home. So she's all alone. The stage is bare except a couple of sets that are half constructed and a chair somebody's left behind. And she hauls out her ladder. She climbs on up to the top and she's adjusting her lights one by one. She said afterwards she got a chill down the back of her neck. She turned and looked over her shoulder and there was a man sitting on the chair, just sitting, watching the work. Kind of heavy set, dark blue uniform, gold buttons, like a union officer. She said she could see his beard, she could see his pipe, she could smell tobacco hanging in the air. And then the next morning, she went and talked to some of her classmates. She figured they are never going to believe this. They believed her just fine. She figured they're going to have a million questions at least. They really only had one. You hadn't seen him before? Because it turns out people have been seeing this figure at Brewer Hall for years and years and years and years. People see him walking the halls, sometimes backstage, most often just sitting in the audience with everybody else, just watching the show. Some people will tell you that he appears most often to watch the shows that star the more attractive young actresses. He may be a ghost, but he's apparently also a scoundrel. Now, if I tell people that story, then kind of appreciate it. But as an actor, I think you'll agree that few things could be quite as unsettling as being in the middle of a performance. You know the show must go on, and suddenly there's somebody out there in the audience who shouldn't be there, can't possibly be there, and the show must go on. You must stay in character. And all you want to do is stop and stare and nudge the actor next to you. It's like, do you see that too? Share one last thing about Brewer Hall. I never have a chance to tell this story because I'm not usually talking to theater people. But I'm sure you can understand. There were two students a few years back, stage manager, assistant stage manager for one of the student plays. And they're working late into the night, getting the prop table set up. And anyone at home who's not a theater person, a prop table is not just a table. If you dump everything on a table, you're going to have, 15 seconds in the dark to get what you need. The lights are going to come up on stage. They'll be back there saying, it's under here somewhere. I don't know. And so what they do, especially in a show that has a lot of props, they take the table, they take electrical tape or masking tape, and they draw squares and rectangles. So everything has its place. The fluffy kitten goes right here. The mug goes right over here. Everything has its place. And so you've got 10 seconds in the pitch black. You can grab what you need, get back on stage, and everything keeps running. And so they were working late into the night, getting ready. It was about to be tech week. And one by one, everybody else went home. And by the time they were done, the sun had set, and they called campus security to come lock up the building behind them, give them a safe escort back to their dorm. And they were back first thing the next morning. They knew nobody had been there yet because they had to call security to open the place back up. So they knew for a fact that nobody had been inside the building since they had left the night before. They walk in and everything looks fine. They get a little bit closer and start noticing that the things on the tables still seem organized, but they don't line up with the squares and the rectangles anymore. They walked over and they took a good long look. And finally, it occurred to them. It was as if something took everything on that table, dozens of items, lifted them all just a few inches, turned the entire 8-foot table with all those squares and rectangles, 180 degrees around, put everything gently right back down again. Like I say, I rarely have a chance to share that story because most people don't have firsthand experience of, a prop table, but as an actor, it gives me the willies.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. I very much, as a person, do not believe in ghosts. However, and I also enjoy saying Macbeth all the time. Partly, I might just simply be tempting fate, but I feel like to an extent, even if that play is cursed, that I kind of get a pass because I'm Shakespeare to an extent. So I can see you arguing with yourself. Like,
well, no.
But
I figure, just like, you don't have to believe in ghosts to enjoy Hamlet.
Exactly.
You don't have to believe in ghosts to enjoy my stories. One of the most satisfying comments I've ever gotten from anybody was from a guy who came in at the beginning saying, ghosts, really? And came up to me at the end and said, you didn't make me believe in ghosts, but you did make me believe in great storytelling. I will take that. I will happily take that.
There we have it. Also, so on the I don't believe in ghosts, because I am afraid of no ghosts. What?
Yeah.
What am I doing? No. On that, I have great respect for the concept of theatre ghosts, of Thespis haunting your theatre, or just a ghost that might be attributed to your theatre. And if anything ever goes wrong, I am one of the first people to sometimes yell, sometimes just very, very casually be like, all right, Frank, knock it off. And just, even though it's one of those things of, I don't actually believe it's there. It's just one of those things of, all right, it's almost like a reset in my brain of, no, respect the concept. Even though I don't believe in it, there are enough other people who do, that there's something to communal energy.
Yeah.
And it's like respect the process to an extent.
Absolutely.
Goodness. But, oh yeah, Dan says, you don't have to believe in Vulcans to enjoy Star Trek, and that's correct. You know what? Here's the thing, especially since this is on me, and I'm dressed kind of a space wizardy thing going on right now.
I'm sorry, I don't have any Star Trek ghost stories for you. I'm sorry.
You know what? You're fired. No, I was just going to say, I feel like I could, especially if I flipped the hood up, be a Vulcan at Colin R. Like, I'm practicing dispelling all of my emotions. So, like, here we go. But whatever, I don't know. What do I know?
It occurs to me I'm wrong.
About?
I'm wrong. I do have one thing I can share with you. It's not quite Star Trek, but it's certainly Star Trek adjacent.
All right, do it.
And as a somebody who does not believe, and that's perfectly fine, I think you will appreciate. So back in the early 60s, I think, the very first time that an American astronaut went up and did a complete orbit, I want to say John Glenn, but I haven't looked up the story in a while. So he called into ground control and very confused because he's looking out the portal in the spacecraft, and he's seeing thousands and thousands of tiny little sparkling lights outside gathered around his spacecraft. He said it felt like something was there to welcome humans into space. And he had no idea what it was, and ground control had no idea what it was. But they did eventually figure it out. Because apparently early spacecraft technology was based very much on aircraft technology.
Yes.
And aircraft planes routinely vent, waste products out into the air, and they disperse, and it's perfectly fine. When you vent stuff out into the vacuum of space, it tends to flash freeze. And so what they eventually figured out was that what he was seeing looking out the portal of the spacecraft was teeny tiny, thousands and thousands of teeny tiny little droplets of his own flash frozen pee.
I saw it going there. That's amazing though. But it was space pee.
Yes.
That makes it cool.
Well, very cool. It was frozen.
Oh yeah. I see what you did there. Oh goodness. In just a moment, Steve is going to be regaling us with one of the great works of literature. So I am going to close the show before then, and this is how we're going to end it with Steve. So Steve Anderson from Great Tales Live. Go watch everything. Susan says she just watched, by the way, speaking of your little story, Amok Time last night. So great Star Trek episode from the classic series. But we're from TOS, those old scientists, the TOS days. If you watch Star Trek Lower Decks, then you know. If you know, you know. So we're going to be right back with Steve Anderson in a moment. But friends, I have to... oh, goodness gracious, what buttons am I hitting? I don't know. But friends, just so we know, a few extra things coming up. So once again, like to thank our sponsors for the show, Hill Storage and Rigging Company. No job too large or too small. Go follow them online at hillrigging.com. And you can also follow them on Facebook. Dandy Folk, bits and bobbles for the sharp and snazzy. Get your masks, your venture scarves, your venture hoods, your scarves, everything you need to be safe and stylish. Both the holiday season and for all the Corona Palooza that we have going on. Renfest.org, your directory for Renaissance festivals, entertainment, and vendors. You want to find them, it's in the name, renfest.org. Henderson's Hearth, classic Celtic food for today's on-the-go people. Check them out, hendersonshearth.com. Find them on Facebook and Instagram. Tell them Shakespeare sent you. The Daily Brew, your 365-day guided journal. And when you buy a copy, and the link, there is a link in the comments for you to go buy it on Amazon. The authors are able to have enough money then to get more copies to college students in need. So check out the Daily Brew, your 365-day guided journal. Ren Pops, I didn't even talk about them earlier. Of course, go make your own little Ren Pop Shakespeare. Go to renpops.com and download a PDF of your favorite Renaissance performers, not just me, but also Paolo Garbanzo, Cirque du Soleil, goodness gracious, the Acrobatrix, Brune, Lynx Kim, the Sword Swallower, Aaron Bonk, Music the Gathering, the Washerwell Wenches, and more. Go check us out. You can also, for $4 more, get a Ren Pop sent to you printed on high quality cardstock, and then cut it out and make your own little mini Shakespeare. Not that it has to be Shakespeare, but we know it's going to be Shakespeare. And then, of course, Shakespeare's Coffee Break every single day, Monday through Thursday at 3:05 p.m. I need to change this card. I keep saying I need to change the card. But yeah, if you tune in at 3, it'll be on in 5 minutes. So watch it, facebook.com/Shakespeare's Coffee Break, and YouTube at Shakespeare Approves. Also, usually on my main Facebook page, Shakespeare Approves. Next Monday, oh my God, that's going to be an amazing show. We're going to have an historian on the show. John Lestrange. On Tuesday, we're going to have Bella Greenwolf. We had technical issues with her show yesterday, so she's going to be on Tuesday. And just amazing, wonderful acts on next week. Wonderful stuff coming up with Shakespeare's Coffee Break. On Tuesday nights, Nat 21 Adventures, we just had the season finale with the Halloween special this past Tuesday, but 8 p.m. this coming Tuesday, Election Day in America. Tune in and watch our one-off Election Day special. This might be an evil crew. It's kind of fun. It's up to you to decide if they are evil or just kind of neutral. But tune in and watch that. It's going to be a lot of fun. 8 p.m. at facebook.com/nat21adventures and twitch.tv/palagobantu, because when a natural 20 just won't do, you need a nat 21. It's your live Dungeons and Dragons show with performers from the Renaissance Fair. And Talking Trek, this one makes me sad. Brian and I are calling Talking Trek quits because we just don't have enough time in our schedules to make it as high of a quality as possible. So we're going to keep talking about Trek, usually just to each other. And occasionally he will come on here, onto this show, and we will talk about it. But as its own show, we are bidding it a fond farewell. It's a show that we just have not been able to keep going consistently. So we love it. We love Star Trek. Obviously, both of us do. We're just not able to keep the Trek-specific show going properly. So farewell to Talking Trek. We hardly knew you. But for all of you who did watch it, thank you so very much. Really appreciate that. Shakespeare Reviews, though, that is the show I do with Andrew McKee, the Irish bard from Life's Affair. You can go check out Andrew at facebook.com/the Irish bard and Life's Affair at facebook.com/Life's Affair. Shakespeare Reviews is the movie review show where we take movies based on the Shakespeare canon and talk about them. Every Friday, new episodes go up on Life's Affair on the Facebook and YouTube pages around 9:30 in the morning Eastern time. And then at 3:05 in the afternoon, we talk about it here. The most recent episode was 10 Things I Hate About You, but tomorrow's episode is, in honor of Halloween, Warm Bodies. That's right. Romeo and Juliet, only it's zombies. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. Check it out. Join us tomorrow at 3:05 p.m. for that. It's going to be great. And of course, Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour every Friday at 5:35. This Sunday, Titus Andronicus, for kids, we're going to have the watch party of the show that we did last night, and you can still contribute to the Indiegogo campaign. That show starred our guest today, the great and talented Steve Anderson, as our titular character, Titus Andronicus. So the watch party, the Sunday brunch time watch party at 11 a.m. this Eastern time this Sunday. I'm no longer saying EDT, I'll be saying EST because, hey, daylight savings time kicks in. So Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. This Sunday, the Titus Andronicus, for kids, watch party with brunch. We're going to have pancakes and French toast and omelets, and it's going to be amazing. Of course, tomorrow, Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Halloween party. We're going to have amazing special guests. We're going to have a costume contest. I want you to send me your favorite costume, you and your costume, or call into the show and show off your costume to us live. Tomorrow, 5:35 Eastern Time. That one still says EDT because we're still in Eastern Daylight time. Whichever one is Daylight Savings, that's the one we're in. And then the other one will be standard, and it's going to be fine. But tomorrow, 5:35 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have some silly Shakespearean sing-alongs. It's going to be great. We're going to be singing about the ghosts who steal a witch's broom, as one does. But friends, that's the end of the slideshow, so there we go. Thank you so much for watching the show. And if you enjoyed the show half as much as I enjoy making it, I obviously enjoy it twice as much as you did. And that's just called math. And whatever you feel the show is worth, a 1, a 5, a 10, for a 50, I will detail your car because I got no pride. Throw it into my hat. Go to coffee.com/Shakespeare, ko-fi.com/Shakespeare, and buy me a cup of coffee. Or become a Patreon of the arts and go to patreon.com/Shakespeare. It's patreon.com/Shakespeare. Become a Patreon of your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, Patreon of the arts. All tiers get the exact same perks right now because money is tight. And some of you want to be able to support, but you only have a little bit of money, and that's okay. And some of you want to throw more money at me, and that's amazing. Go ahead. All tiers get the same perks right now because we're all in this together. And I thank you for supporting me and other artists like Steve Anderson, our guest today, and you can support him by going to coffee.com/Great Tales Live and support him in his creation of his amazing artwork. So go watch, go support us both. See, you they're both on the screen at the same time because one is a scrolling Chiron and the other that way, I guess, and then the other one is just right here on screen. So go do the thing, support art. Friends, this is Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I love you. You love me. There is mutual glorious affection. Oh, John Van Vliet, real quick, he just gave a smiley face on here. And I have to say, John Van Vliet, one of our patrons, Susan Hill, who says, come, one of our patrons. Thank you so very much for being Patreons of the arts. Thank you. I love you. You love me. There's mutual glorious affection. And now, without further ado, or a don't, to steal a joke from Steve, please enjoy this Halloween classic. Steve, welcome back.
Once, upon a midnight dreary, as I pondered, weak and weary, of my many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, as I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "rapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more." Distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, when each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for that rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Merely this, and nothing more." Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "oh, madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the truth is I was napping, and so gently you came tapping, and so faintly you came rapping, I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness held no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, 'Lenore.' This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, 'Lenore.' Only this, and nothing more. Back into my chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again there came a tapping, somewhat louder than before. 'Surely,' said I, 'surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my soul be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more.' Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a moment stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon the sculptured bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched, and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern demeanour of the countenance it wore, "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," said I, "art sure no craven. Ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Startled at the silence broken by reply, much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly. Though his answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only this one word, as if its soul in that one word it did outpour. Nothing further than it uttered, not a feather than it fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. In the morning thou wilt leave me as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the silence broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Oh, doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, got from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till all the dirges of his hopes this melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Down upon the cushion sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, wondering what this ominous bird of yore, with this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl, whose fiery eye now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, with the lamplight gloating o'er. But whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed by an unseen censer, swung by seraphim, whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath sent thee, by these angels he hath lent thee respite, respite and nepenthe from the memory of Lenore. Quaff, oh, quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget the lost Lenore. Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me, truly I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within that distant Aidenn it may clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. Be that word our sound of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. And the Raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eye has all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.